Aloha and welcome. I did my collection video where I show off every single issue I own in my collection up until these last few months. And now I am finally going through the new issues I got. I guess this is going to be technically like a polls and pickups. So here we go. Polls and pickups, Fantastic Four, and later on X-Men. Starting off, we have Fantastic Four Life Story Fantastic Four Life Story number 1, which is the 60s. And this series is basically, as far as I'm aware, haven't read this issue yet, but as far as I'm aware, this series covers the various decades that the Fantastic Four is from and covers the major plot points that had happened in their life as a celebration of the Fantastic Four's 60th anniversary. So here we have very early days of the various characters before they became, the Fantastic Four. And as I was flipping through, it looks as if later on it goes over the birth of Mr. Fantastic's kid. So, and also how their kind of relationships kind of grew together and such. So there you go. It's redone though, as you can see. So, it's new dialogue as far as I know, new artistry, everything else. So you're going to be getting a new writer's fresh perspective on the various events. Wow. Get Galactus and everything. So definitely there's some changes between this and the first issue of Fantastic Four, and there's also elements that weren't in that issue period, and it goes beyond that. So if you're interested in Fantastic Four, this seems like something that would be you'd be interested in picking up. I don't know if it's quality or not, but it certainly is kind of a way to kind of get the scoop in a new and revived way, I should say. I still would actually recommend reading the original issues of Fantastic Four before reading this, just in terms of at least then you're getting something high quality and you're not limited to this series. Because this series, as far as I know, it goes over the 60s, and then there's another one that goes over the 70s, and I believe the 80s one came out just a while back. So I don't know if they're going to keep going with this, but either way, you're going to be limited to one writer's perspective and how would you put it, the modern kind of retrospective lens of the Fantastic Four. I think it might be better if you read the Fantastic Four, the original issues, from the 60s in a Mighty Marvel omnibus, possibly. Look out for a video on that. And then go on from there and, possibly read these and other reprints. Speaking of reprints, we have King Size Special Fantastic Four. This is back when, this is number 6 of the... Fantastic Four Annual. So this is Fantastic Four Annual number 6, and cool cover there for sure. And this is double the size of a normal issue. This is a reprint, of course. So, I didn't have to pay hundreds or thousands of dollars, which is great. I love the color work here. Really vibrant colors. They really pop off the page, as you can see, especially with that modern the modern inking techniques that can be done with digital printers. But very, very cool to have. You can see all the Kirby crackles, the kind of complex line work, yet they're illustrated on simple geometry. That kind of look that, Marvel was known for at the time. And it seems like a lot of fun. Haven't actually read it yet, but also, besides this, technically this is beyond a reprint. This is considered a facsimile edition. I forgot to mention that. And facsimiles, the difference between the two are that reprints are just reprints of the issues. Facsimiles, however, are more care is put into them. They're normally more expensive, and you're paying for, and the care is put into, including the original ads, scans of the original ads that were in the issue originally. So that's a super cool thing. This candy bar can help you gain weight, lots of weight. But it's really, really cool, and I love all the different toy ads you see later on. There was it in this issue? Yeah. I'll make you a master of karate. Karate is the secret oriental art of self-defense that turns your hands, arms, legs into paralyzing weapons without any bodily contact. In just 2 hours after you receive Super Karate, you will be on your way to being an invincible karate master at home. This fast, easy way, or it costs you nothing. Okay. Little worded a little odd there, but that's okay. And X-ray specs. Geez, with X-ray specs and learning the art of karate, I'll be just as unstoppable as the villains in these books. But anyways, that's about it. That's enough. I could keep going on forever. Next up, though, we have another reprint, but this time it's not a facsimile, just a plain old reprint. And as you can see, the price, partially because this is a double-sized issue, twice as many pages, twice as many thrills. So that, and along with it being a facsimile, makes it $5. But I've also seen some facsimiles that are normal size that are also $4. So you're definitely going to be paying more than these, that are only $1. So, it depends on if you think the higher production and having those ads is worth it or not. I don't really know if it is for a lot of issues, but when I run across facsimiles that are real cool like that, I feel like I just got to pick them up. But here we have Marvel 2-in-1 presents The Thing and the Man-Thing. I'll probably do a separate video on this on its own. I quite enjoyed the Marvel 2-in-1 presents The Thing and the Black Widow, so I'll probably do a video on this as well. These are 2-in-1s, are basically kind of Marvel's way to get more characters in their own book without having them be in their own books. The publishing company that originally published Marvel's issues had a restriction where Marvel could only have a certain number of books out per month and year. So in order to kind of have characters like Namor, as you can see there, to have characters like Namor, the Human Torch, and other characters be more present and be able to still be in monthly issues, they did many things like 2-in-1s, or they had certain characters be in their own series together. So like Namor and the Human Torch, I thought, had their own series at one specific time. So instead of having, Namor only pop up here and there in certain issues of, say the Avengers, and having the Human Torch only appear in, geez, I don't know what that was. Sorry about that. Instead of having the Human Torch only appear here and there in Fantastic Four issues, he was reoccurring in that series, I believe. Stuff like that. Marvel 2-in-1 is another example there where, like, how often are you going to come across the Man-Thing? Well, you can have the Man-Thing in a Marvel 2-in-1, and then in the next issue, let's say Black Widow hasn't been in an issue for a while. We can throw Black Widow in with the Thing. So there you go. There's that. Speaking of, we have Marvel 2-in-1 presents The Thing and the Black Widow. This issue I did a whole video on. If you want to see that, click the card in the top right. But this was a really fun issue. Features the two characters, as you'd imagine, and they get caught up in, how would you say, world-ending espionage. So there you go. That's all really I have to say. There's a hydrogen bomb, I believe, that's going to blow up, be dropped into the ocean and cause tsunamis to destroy civilization. Got a little fan service right there. And it's really just a fun issue. I break down more of the action and such in its own video, so if you want to check that out, check that out. Here we have Fantastic Four. What is this? It doesn't tell you the issue number on the front of a lot of these. What is this? Issue 257. So we're jumping forward quite a bit here. I try to order them in roughly chronological order, but that didn't, well, outside of the first issue. I try to order them in an order that would make sense. Let me put it that way. The first issue, I put Fantastic Four Life Story because that goes over the origins of the Fantastic Four along with other things. So that's why that was first. And then after that, I try to put them in order of when these issues would have originally released. I love the art here. This whole issue has amazing art. Story-wise, little hairy. I'll get to that in a minute. I've read this. But what was I saying? So I try to put them in order there, but here and there it was a little hard to kind of tell for sure. And we're also going to be getting into a limited series right after this where it's like, I don't even know how to order that, whether I order it in chronological order or whether I count it as an X-Men issue. That's your hint as to what it is. But anyways, this issue, how was this issue? Wasn't bad. I love the art, but it wasn't really great either. I don't know if I can recommend it unless you're big into Fantastic Four already. I read this before I read a lot of the other things that I own of Fantastic Four, so a little, I kind of did that backwards. A lot of things didn't make as much sense as they necessarily could have. It's very heavy on lore and kind of filling out certain details that you would have missed in previous issues, but the fact that I didn't know those details, and I still don't know some of them, means that this issue didn't really have a lot of weight. But the art was super cool and mostly focused on Galactus and his Herald, which, assistant, so to speak. And we also get to see kind of how the Fantastic Four are dealing with family issues. But that's about it. And here we have the original issue here. Yeah, see, originally it said the issue number right up there, but sadly for these reprints, they decided to cut that out and instead put True Believers on the front. That's okay. And next up we have Fantastic Four versus the X-Men issue 1. And this was a 4-part limited series that spawned from the year of 1987. Yes, 1987, February of 1987. You can see that the colors definitely are different, and that compared to the last issues, this is an original issue. This isn't a reprint of any kind, so this is definitely nice to have and quite a fun story. I don't want to spoil it, but I'm gonna have to tell you at least the basics. So if you don't like that, definitely check the timestamps. I might hopefully put in timestamps so you can skip over, but I'm gonna have to reveal some things. I'll try not to spoil things, but Franklin Richards, Mr. Fantastic, and his kid has a nightmare and sees his father as the embodiment of evil, sees him as Dr. Doom in his dream. And this is, at first he thinks literally, but later on, for a 5-year-old kid, he's actually kind of smart, because he eventually starts to think, well, that must mean something. It must mean that it's like, metaphorical, that he's still having a, what would you say, glimpse into the future, a glimpse into a possible future, but that it's metaphorical for something bad happening to Reed Richards, or having, it represents him, a bad side of him becoming present in the forefront. And that's really kind of the plot. The mother starts to also wonder as well if this actually means something, because the son has a history of being able to kind of see these kinds of things. And along with all that, they happen to come across his journal from State University. At State University, Dr. Doom and Mr. Fantastic originally worked together, and they were rival science, rival science scholars, you could say, at the school. So a fallout happened there, basically, and that's kind of the connection. I'm not really going to say too much because I can't without going into spoilers, but I'll mention. Yeah. Anyways. And here we have various X-Men characters and what's going on with them. Kitty Pryde is stuck in an altered state after one of their battles. Something happened, and she's now third X-Men casualty, Shadowcat. Yeah, so she's stuck in a phasing mode, transformed literally into a living ghost. So she can communicate, but she can't, and she appears somewhat, as you can see, but she's in between states of existence, basically. I don't know if she's like some kind of plasma or what she is. They have to keep her in a casing like that, so maybe she is like some kind of altered state of matter, who knows. And in between all that, they can see that her molecular construct is slowly decaying. I would think she'd explode like an atomic bomb, but instead, supposedly, she's just going to slowly drift apart. It blows them all up, yeah. Realistically, that might not be too far off. If she was literally down to the molecule, like decaying, you would think that could cause some kind of issue, but have like a nuclear meltdown or whatever. But anyways, and here we have Dazzler and Longshot, is that his name? Yeah, all these X-Men characters, man, hard to remember all their names. And they're going across the ocean, as you can see, heading back to the X-Men island that they happen to be staying on. I don't remember why. I believe it was alluded that it has something to do with where the X-Men series is currently at the time, but I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, so they're driving along, boating along, I should say, and come across this mysterious-looking fisherman that had fallen overboard previously. And from his face and how these kind of stories work, you can probably allude that he's not actually a good guy, with those evil looking eyes. So who is he? What's his deal? You'll have to see. You'll have to read it yourself. I probably won't spoil that. And here we go back to the Fantastic Four once again, and we can see components starting to kind of leach together and come together as a cohesive story, where Reed Richards and Sue go over the journal. Sue opened the journal, figured out that supposedly, according to Reed Richards' own writing, he knew that they were going to become the Fantastic Four. What? I know. That's the big reveal. So supposedly it was on purpose. Yeah, Mr. Fantastic supposedly knew that his friends, his family, loved ones were going to be transformed into mutants, that they could possibly die, that they were going to be exposed to, the such high amounts of radiation, but did it on purpose in order to create them into the heroes that they are today. Is that true? Well, according to the journal, it is, but that's the thing. Mr. Fantastic doesn't actually believe it to be so, doesn't remember ever writing that. So did he? Did he not? What's the deal? You're going to have to read it to figure it out. I won't spoil it. And here we have She-Hulk in the library. Love this artistry, right? Glowing green skin among kind of the dark colors and everything of the background, and like the purple contrasts with her skin tone. And then you have like just the whole ambiance of the nighttime kind of cafe there. Very cool there. And here we have the Thing meets up with She-Hulk. She-Hulk used to be part of the Fantastic Four. And they happen to be around at the exact right time, coincidentally or not coincidentally. Again, you're going to have to read it. Just talking in time to witness a burning building right across the street. So they have to use their superhuman strength to fix that. Again, I love that with like the glow of the fire reflecting off their skin. Very cool. Expert level artistry there. And here we have Magneto comes in just the nick of time. Again, a lot of coincidences. Some of them really are coincidences and some of them aren't. I'm not going to tell you which, but it's a really fun series. It's well written, well done. Again, I could do a whole video on this, but Magneto comes in just the nick of time and helps save them, keeps the beams of the support beams of this structure from caving in on them. And there you go. Whatever his name is, Firestarter, the flame boy of the Fantastic Four, hops in as well. Wonders how that must be so coincidental, that Magneto comes in just the nick of time. And there you go. I'm not going to spoil too much, but Mr. Fantastic decides that the way to help... Oh, yeah. Sorry. Magneto comes by... Wasn't coincidental. I got to tell that. Never mind. Magneto comes by to tell the Fantastic Four that they need their help in order to save Kitty Pryde. So from completely evaporating into nothing, going off like an atomic bomb. Now that would have been funny. So he decides to go do that, and Sue is mad that they haven't figured out if that what is true is really true. And he's also pondering it himself. He's starting to believe that maybe he really did write what he wrote. Well, what it appears he wrote, I should say. Goes to the Fantastic Four base here, and as you'd guess from the title, there's some conflicting ideas of how to save Kitty. There's some conflicting ideals and people with differing moral compasses, certainly, that come into conflict. And what do you know? Next issue, truths and consequences. So the verses part definitely comes into play near the end there. I gotta rush through these here. I got more issues to go through, and again, I could do a whole video on these. If you want me to do it, definitely tell me. I love comments and feedback and knowing what you guys want to see and what you guys don't want to see. If you don't want to see it, definitely tell me also so I know. And then I can do a different video that you guys would be more interested in. But here we have the battle take place. I'm not going to go too far into it, but forget her name, man. She's themed after like Irish stuff. She has like an Irish accent, and mentions, I think, Ireland later on. I'm not going to look for her name, whatever. But she's able to shapeshift, so she kisses the Thing, as you can see, and becomes the Thing. And Firestarter is Firestorm, sorry. As I fired. Now, Firestarter, I don't know people's names, man. Human Torch. Is he called the Human Torch? Yeah. That might be it. Either way, the point is that he's stuck in Psylocke's, being played with. His mind is being played with by Psylocke, and you got Wolverine versus She-Hulk here, and the fantastic, Mr. Fantastic being completely stretched out. We also have an astral projection of their son, whatever, Franklin Richards. That's another ability he has. It may seem like he's just a Deus Ex Machina. He may seem kind of like he's just a plot device. It's able to have all these various powers. He kind of is. He's kind of overpowered, but it is established as far as I know. So that is really one of his powers that kind of feeds into the fact that his dreams can, he can see what's going on currently or possibly in the future in his dreams. But along with that, he's able to use his, through doing that, he's astral projecting. So he's able to do that in both present time and in possible futures. But it doesn't seem as if he's able to affect the real world in any way. Technically later on here, he kind of does, but not, I don't know. That's a wormhole I'm not going to go down, but is he able to have an effect in his in this astral state? Well, he's not able to touch things, but he is able to communicate with beings in the location that he astral projects himself. He's able to be sensed by people like Psylocke and other characters that have those kinds of abilities. So I don't know. It's a hairy situation. He can communicate that way, and he does later on, but he doesn't actually have any physical impact. So whether you'd say he's a plot device or not is kind of might be just kind of hinged on if he's able to physically affect the story. He doesn't really physically affect it as far as I remember. Read this, good number of months ago. But as you can see, I remember quite a bit of it because it's a really good story. And here we have the whole fisherman plot line come to head. We see that I'll spoil it, I guess. We see that he's actually Victor Von Doom and that he was in his disguise the whole time. He somehow knew that they were going to, that Dazzler and whatever the guy's name is, Quick Shot, what's his name? I forget. Anyways, that somehow I guess he knew that they were going to be coming across on the boat, and that he was going to be, they were going to recognize him or see him, pick him up in the boat and everything. I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. And he didn't reveal himself all the way till he got to actually got to the island. I guess that makes some sense, but I don't know. It was convoluted for sure. And Victor Von Doom, whatever, Doom, sees what's going on and actually came supposedly to tell them that he can actually help and fix Katie Pride. And they all kind of aren't buying it, but a few of them, especially the bigger cast ones, the ones that make more of that Marvel dough, let's put it. They are totally for it, and we're like, well, it's worth the risk and everything else to side with Doom. Obviously, Reed Richards isn't going to have that, and gets kind of ostracized by the X-Men because of him, trying to get involved in a conflict that's not his own. They called him in, but at the same time, they also didn't want him to necessarily. They didn't know Doom was going to come in. They didn't want him to try and just instantly try and stop them from being with Doom, especially because Reed Richards isn't able to help, supposedly. And they think that they kind of see that as a sign that he's choosing not to. And in ways, he kind of is. I won't get too far into it. But anyways, and as you can see, the whole facet of if or if not, Reed Richards wrote what he wrote in his journal about purposefully creating them as the X-Men also comes to head here among his other team members. And there you go. That's the gist of it. I won't. Yeah. Here we have a flashback and how it's just crazy. If that's true, that would certainly change the entire mythos. So, and you'll definitely, things are changed no matter what after this limited series. If you choose to believe it, if this counts as continuity, I don't even know if it does anymore. There's definitely some things, no matter what. I'm not going to tell you whether it is what you know now, whether it's other things, what have you, but there are definitely reveals here that do stick if you choose to count them as continuity. I don't know if they're literally continuity, like the people over at Marvel are still thinking about effects of this issue, but if you want to, you certainly can still keep in mind the effects of this issue because there are elements about their origin that are cemented. It's not you're going to come out of reading this no matter what with newfound knowledge of the Fantastic Four. Let's put it that way. And here we have, once again, Katie stuck in that state, and she's moved to Doom's fortress. What is it? Franklin Richards. Trying to remember characters' names so it makes more sense for all of you guys. But Franklin Richards is able to appear there once again and talk to her. She's also in kind of an altered state between reality, so I guess she's able to, I guess they're on the same frequency. And there's also this pet dragon that she has. I didn't know about that. I don't know. I guess I better read more guess I better read more X-Men. And here we have the Fantastic Four crew heading over. They just can't stay out of it. They just can't let the X-Men partner with Doctor Doom and just let that slide, I guess. It's kind of a little odd. I'm starting to almost side with the X-Men by this point when I was reading it and be like, well, geez, I mean, Mr. Fantastic really can't stay out of everything. I mean, he goes over there, doesn't help them, comes back home. He's being very womanly. Let me put it that way. He's being very stereotypical in, how would I say? He's so wishy-washy. He's acting wishy-washy throughout the entire thing, very much like he's it's his time of the month, because he goes over there, doesn't help them, then tries to besides not helping them, tries to stop them from partnering with his villain, which makes sense. But I mean, like, if he really wanted to stop them, he would have done whatever he could to help them at the time. And then, like, he's also having these issues with his family, which you could explain, that could explain away some of the way he's acting, I suppose. But then he wants to go back once again to the X-Men. He wants to regroup with them after all that had happened only a short time later. So he's like, wait a minute, I guess I better stop him because something bad's going to happen. So it's like back and forth, both literally and figuratively. He's back and forth in terms of his stance on all this stuff, but also he's back and forth in terms of destinations. I mean, he just flew out there across the world to this island, and now he's flying back to Doom's Fortress. I forget where Doom's Fortress is located. It tells you, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not going to dig through it and try and find it. And as you can see, once again, there's more flashbacks showing you the rivalry between Dr. Doom and Mr. Fantastic when they were Reed Richards, when they were simply chums in college, and how they became, how they excelled in the field of science and everything else and competed, which definitely comes up later. I feel like I'm going to have to cut this short because I'm going to spoil some things in just a handful of pages here, but I'll finish some of this out at least. And here we have the Fantastic Four training on Doom's grounds, which is quite cool. And he has these mechanical like bird creatures that roam his fortress and are like defend them. And they kind of retaliate. They see the X-Men's training as where is it? Soon, in a page or two, they see the X-Men, what they're doing as, an attack. So they start attacking the X-Men, and Doom gets real pissy that they're destroying one thing, they're fighting each other. That's another thing. But on top of that, you get to see the X-Men kill a bunch of those mechanical bird things, along with them fighting the Fantastic Four one more time, just for good measure, because another dispute comes out about why they're there, and they think he's back to screw things up for whatever particular reason. Jump to conclusions here. So they're going to try and stop him, and it's just a whole thing. It's a bunch of alpha male, few alpha female characters that are all superhuman. So on top of those kind of personalities just not working at all, the life of another hero being at risk, which is a big component of it. Jealousy between Mr. Fantastic and Dr. Doom. You also have the fact that they, all that combined, every single person can deal quite a powerful punch, let's just put it. With adamantium claws, slice through, trees like nothing, smash people's brains in, lift up Jeeps, as you can see, and throw them. It's pretty crazy. So that's kind of the gist. After they get in the fight, then you have to basically see whether Doctor Doom and Mr. Fantastic kind of play a game of mind game, and you eventually get the reveal of the truth behind their origins, the truth behind whether Mr. Fantastic truly is a horrible person or not, and get to see if Katie Pryde lives. To know all that and more, you should read this series. It's very good. Definitely. I found it for quite cheap too. It was like $8, something like that, for 4 issues. So like, no brainer, right? $2 an issue. The issues are, higher quality paper. You got the old fashioned advertisements in it. It's really good. You should read it. The official Marvel Index to the X-Men, issue 3, number 3. There's a number of these as far as I know, but this is basically a compendium to the original X-Men series. And it goes through chronologically, breaks down every issue as far as I know. It gives you about a page per issue and then another page for the art, which is also a very nice addition. So you can stare at those. That's almost the best part here. And you get the featured characters, the first appearance of different characters, things like that. Other characters that appear in the book, cameo appearances, special weapons and devices. You get a synopsis of the issue, but you also get comments about like writing the story, it looks like. So that's certainly very cool. The credits and everything else. Nothing too deep. I kind of wish some of the stuff, because I read a little bit of this, I wish some of this went deeper and was less about the actual issue and was more about the development and the history of it. And you get a little bit of that, but not enough. I wish there was more of that. But for what it is, I found this for literally, I think it was $1, right? Oh man, it's worth $1. I haven't even read most of these issues here that they're talking about, but that's cool with me because it's cool to learn about a little bit about Marvel history of these characters, and to stare at some awesome covers here. These awesome, illustrated covers. Man, that's cool for sure. Got that Kirby crackle. A lot of cool action poses here and things that can almost make posters. So if that all sounds interesting, you could definitely look out for these, right? They're super cheap as far as I know. So haven't checked eBay. Maybe they've... Maybe they're super expensive on eBay. If so, I'm selling mine. But if you can find it for cheap, it's definitely not a bad pickup. And here we have, oh yeah, I got to show you that. Look at that. That's awesome. Multi-layered cover there. Looks like Kazar on the back. Anyway, so here we have, next up is X-Men issue 58. This is a reprint. This is it the first appearance of Havoc? If it's the first appearance of Havoc, I'll put something on screen here. If not, I won't. Got to put something on screen confirming it, but it appears as if that's the case. This is obviously early 60s, 58. Original series was 63, so this was, a few years after that, 66, something like that. Really cool page there. You got a nice spread. Art that goes across both pages there. And of course, you get these modern advertisements in these reprints, but there you go. So if you're interested in Havoc, obviously this is something you'd want to pick up. I don't have too much to say. Haven't read it yet, but here we go. Got the old-fashioned X-Men characters, some of the ones that you don't hear. Some of the ones you don't hear too much about, but other ones that are, definitely have changed, let's just say. Here we have Marvel Comics presents Wolverine. This is actually 2 issues as far as I remember seeing. It's up here. It contains both. It contains different appearances of Wolverine as far as I know. So it's Alpha Flight 11. I don't know if you can see that, and Marvel Comics presents issue 51. So both of those were 2 different series. One was an anthology kind of miscellaneous book that Marvel did. And Alpha Flight was a spin-off of X-Men, a different kind of cast of characters trying to deal with having, various types of powers and such. Kind of more, seems more tongue-in-cheek from what I've heard. I haven't read it myself, so I can't really say too much about it. But so it has seemingly a Wolverine appearance in Alpha Flight 13, and also has that other Marvel Presents issue that features a Wolverine as well. But in the Alpha Flight issue here I just flipped through, didn't see Wolverine. Maybe that's not the case. As you can tell, I haven't read it. That was what I was getting from the trade dress, and assuming, from the trade dress and from what it said down there. But I guess it doesn't necessarily have to have Wolverine in it. That's a little odd. So anyways, you'll have to read it and see. But there you go. I just happened to pick that up. I don't have too much to say about that, sadly. But here we have the appearance of Rogue. I believe this is first appearance. Again, if I'm wrong about this one, I'll put something on screen. Confirming it, not confirming it, but this is definitely cool to have. Dollar reprint once again, and this is issue 171, so 171 of 1981. Okay, so this is the Uncanny X-Men series, 1981, and this is issue 171. So this was roughly probably early 90s. Is what it appears to be. So we definitely dove forward by quite a bit. But it's nice to see an appearance. Maybe it's not then, because she was in. She looked like she was in Fantastic Four versus the X-Men. So maybe this isn't her first appearance. What do you know? The cover pretty much gives that away. Maybe this issue was earlier than I think. I don't know, issue 181, you would think, roughly 12 issues a year, you would think that would take, roughly, 10 years at least to get to. Maybe they were doing like two issues a month. That might be it. If they did 2 issues a month, then we'd still be in the 80s there, which would make sense as to why this would be the first appearance if she also appeared in the Fantastic Four versus the X-Men, which was, late 80s. So that's my guess. I'll put something on screen confirming whether I'm right or wrong about my analysis there. But that's kind of a good way to kind of break down eras and try and figure out what, because in the comic shop, you'll have these exact issues. If you don't have your phone with you, you may not exactly remember when certain series are from or what have you. So, especially with these reprints where it doesn't even say, except in font down below, where the copyright is. In small text, it'll tell you the year that the series started, but it won't even tell you the year the issue actually came out. So again, all this stuff you got to do in your head. So that's how you do it. Here we have X Factor. Which issue is this? X Factor 35. I just picked this up because I wanted to, basically. I've been quite enjoying the X Factor storyline, or I quite enjoyed, I should say, the X Factor storyline in X-Men Legends. So I wanted to kind of give the real series an actual taste. And looking at the art, I quite like it, and it's interesting because it, with those pastel colors and stuff, it's very much comparable to X-Men Legends edition of this. Obviously, they're different, but it's just crazy to see that 30 years later, artists are able to emulate a style that was done so long ago and was so distinct. So yeah, that's definitely cool to see. Haven't read it yet. But it looks very similar to what I was reading before, which is crazy to think, again, because there's so many decades between. I wonder if it's the same artist. I'll actually double check that for you right now. I have some doubts. It's been so many years, but let me look here. Louis doesn't look like it. Yeah. This was done by. Does it not say? Gee, it's senior editor, assistant editor, production design. It could be done by Nick Russell. I'd have to look it up. The way this is broken down, man, I really miss the days when it was just very easily readable across the bottom of a page like that. It wasn't always, though. But it would still seem more obvious, though. So yeah, looks like Nick Russell is the artist here. Not exactly sure. But comparing the actual art, though, very similar. Again, it's different. Don't get me wrong. But, they didn't do a bad job emulating the style, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The colors are certainly different. But the actual line work on characters is very similar. It just seems like the modern version is, what would you say, more shiny? There's more lighting effects, and the way that the characters are bolded and outlined seems different, seems thicker. more defined and such. So there's that. And let me flip a few more pages here to kind of give you another comparison side by side. I like them in both. I actually prefer the original style, I think, but nonetheless, dang ads. But nonetheless, it's still, I like them both, definitely. So there's the original art and the, redone art there. You're not seeing too much of the original art. It's hard to have both of them on camera at the same time, but here we'll have a fade in where you kind of slowly see both of them at once. And yeah, after that though, we're moving on to another Uncanny issue with another appearance of Havoc. Here we got True Believers. So many of them say True Believers #1, which is odd. I've tried to look this up. Oftentimes, the True Believers series, I think, shows first appearances of characters, so I think that's why they try and put 1 on the front. But I don't think this is the first. I'm pretty sure that's not the first appearance of Havoc, so it's kind of odd that they put almost all of them that I have put 1 on the front here. So like, why put 1 if there's multiple? I don't know, man. I don't know. Can't tell you. Naming schemes nowadays and the way in which information is hidden, it's irritating, man. Wish things were just laid out much easier and in a much easier format to tell you this kind of thing. This is issue 221 of Uncanny X-Men. So once again, it looks like we're hitting late 80s, if not 90s by this point. We should be hitting 90s, but if it was published bi-monthly, which again, I'll put something on screen previously, you'll see whether I was right or wrong there. And if I was right that it's bi-weekly, or bi-weekly, that'd be crazy, bi-monthly, then yeah, we definitely would still be in the 80s, I would think. Might just hit 90, something like that. But if not, then we're definitely in the 90s by now. Art styles certainly has changed, but still contains very similar elements to the other Uncanny X-Men issue we were looking at 2 issues ago. And there you go. Don't have too much else to say here. Got to keep moving on. But next up, I have Deadpool. Yeah, I know, Deadpool. Is he an X-Men? He's not an X-Men. Supposedly he's not an X-Men. But since he spawned from that series and he's been counted in the cast before in the past. He's appeared in so many X-Men issues. I'm going to throw this in. I only have 3 issues to show you here. Here is Deadpool Black, White, and Blood. This is Deadpool had his anniversary, I believe, this year. Or was it last year? I think pretty sure it was this year. If I'm wrong, I'll put something on screen. And sadly, his anniversary seems to have gone unnoticed by Marvel. And until solicitations came about this, I imagine most people, unless there was some rumor, just thought that was it. I certainly did. But then, what do you know? This summer, the solicitation of this series came out, and I was like, oh man, I got to grab this. So, this is Deadpool as you know him, but in the black, blank, and red, or black something and something series, similar to Superman, blue, white, blue, and red, similar to Wonder Woman, black, gold, and white. What was it, black and gold, I think. This is Deadpool Black, White, and Blood. I think there's also a Wolverine one as well that is exactly that, not even black, white, and I don't know, cranberry juice. No, Black, White, and Blood, once again. Same title, just different character. So as you can see, all the art is done in black, white, and red. Good way to cut costs, I imagine. But it's also kind of a gimmicky and fun style, to read here and there, since it's a limited series. It's 5 issues, I believe. 4 issues, something like that. I have 3 issues here I'll go through. But what's interesting is at the end of all of these, there seems to be a separate story going on, possibly in the mind of Deadpool. I'm not exactly sure. And it uses a kind of orange color as opposed to just flat out red. So they're kind of cheating, but that's okay. Very cool, as you can see there. A lot of great art and line work there. It's crazy. It just makes me wonder how long something like that would take. Hours and hours at least. It would take somebody more unskilled that doesn't do it for a living, I imagine, far, far longer. And then here we have issue 2 Cool cover there for sure. Like that cover. And it looks as if the artistry has changed. I noticed that before. Let me check while you're staring at that. Let me check if the artist has changed. It appears that it has. But definitely a lot of interesting background elements can be illuminated by using the red, you know, a lot of the kind of background elements of this bowling alley that you're seeing right now. But let's check here. Yes. It appears that the artist is different. I wish this stuff was easier. It's laid out it's mostly easy here, I'd say. I guess I'm more complaining about the previous issue. So yeah, this appears to be done by a different artist. Done by a different artist. Here we have an appearance of Deadpool, which is awesome. So yeah, there you go. Definitely a different style. Not as big of a fan. Reminds me almost of what's it called? That movie, Sin City. Reminds me of that, definitely, with the city lights and everything. But then you can see that it starts to shift here a bit, and we have seemingly Elektra appear, kind of scantily clad, but nonetheless Elektra. Geez, complete chaos. Little advertisement right in the middle of your issue. And there you go. I'm not going to flip too far in here. I don't have too much else to say. Mostly just kind of wanted to show you that the series exists so you guys can pick it up while it's still going if you don't already know. I imagine most people, of course, know from solicitations. Let's check and see if this artist is different. Some of them contain different stories here, but yeah, the artist team, at least some of them appear to be different. Some of them might overlap though. We can see like in this scene, you know, very little red is used. I almost think I like that better, where very little is used. Although I was talking about in the last issue how it can have certain background elements pop. It also, you could say, can conflict with, you know, the central theme that the panel is trying to illustrate. So like in this, you know, it's always obvious what the central theme is, Deadpool and the blood, because those are the only two things that are red. So band of penguins, as you can see, he's trying to rescue, it looks like, or do something for. Here again we have Daredevil characters, it looks like. That looks very much like Bullseye, yeah, that's what it says. I can read. Wow, awesome art there. That's really cool. But yeah, I'm not going to flip through too much more of this. Read it and see. If you want to see me cover it, though, in terms of content, you know, I got so much to read. And that's it. Yeah, I got so much to read. So if you want to hear something in its own video, definitely tell me. I'd certainly do a Fantastic Four versus the X-Men breakdown. If you want to see like a plot synopsis, I'd love to do the Black Deadpool, Black, White, and Blood issue reviews if you want to see those. You want to see me cover some of these other reprints in their own videos, I could certainly do that. I've done that in the past. Those are always a lot of fun. I could even do more compendiums of sorts, talk more about those, try to hunt down some more if you're actually interested in seeing it. But I definitely got to know in the comments section below what you want to see. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, definitely tell me. If you didn't, also tell me so I can know how to improve. And I'll see you guys in the next one.